Everywhere you turn, there is someone talking about CBD right now. The hard part is when you're looking at the effects of CBD on the body, there's only so much that can really be talked about. You see, there's a lot of censorship because it's so close to cannabis, it's very difficult to talk about CBD. So what I wanted to do in this video is I wanted to break down the science of how it truly works in your body. I want to do this because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I also feel like we need to understand that endocannabinoid receptors in our body are a natural thing, and endocannabinoids are a natural thing that are existing in our body. So in this video, what you're going to see is ultimately an overview of what happens inside the body with endocannabinoids, with different adenosine receptors, with different serotonin receptors, glutamate, dopamine, all the things that actually make your body go round when it comes down to endocannabinoids. So first off, what we have to talk about is what exactly is CBD? All right, CBD is the non-psychoactive component of cannabis. Okay, so CBD oil is usually extracted, and it's the component that doesn't have an effect like THC. So it works on different receptors within the body. Most of us know this by now because we see influencers all over the place talking about CBD, and they're all acting like crazy experts. The thing is it goes a lot deeper than the fact that it's just not THC. Okay, there's a lot that goes on in the body. So how exactly do these endocannabinoid receptors work within the body? See, we have two different receptors. We have CBD1 and CBD2. And these are all throughout the body. They're not just in the brain. Okay? They're not just affecting the psychoactive portion of the body. Okay? They are affecting the brain, but also even more so throughout the course of the body in our inflammatory system, in our immune system, and everything that we need to know there. Okay? CBD1 is found mostly in the brain, however. So CBD1 is the one that affects your mood, it affects emotion, it affects a lot of things when it comes down to your appetite, even coordination, movement, and pain that relates to your brain and how you perceive it. Okay, then we have CBD2. CBD2 works on the body, works on inflammation, works on the immune system. And there is a correlation between CBD1 and CBD2. They communicate, of course, but one is more so for the brain and one is more so for the immune system and for the body. And what you're going to find is that THC activates both of these. But here's what's interesting. Do not believe all of the marketing that says that CBD oil only affects CBD2 receptors. That is not true. That's not how it works, okay? CBD2 receptors have to do with the immune system and inflammation, like I said. But CBD oil does not directly affect CBD1 nor CBD2 receptors. It doesn't affect them at all. See, what it does is it influences the body to naturally utilize more of its naturally occurring endocannabinoids. See, endocannabinoids are things that our body can create, but we also get them from food and various polyphenols that we consume. It's a totally normal, natural thing. Whether our body uses them is a completely different story. So CBD oil influences the body to utilize more of the endocannabinoids that are already existing, therefore enhancing how those endocannabinoid receptors, particularly CBD2, actually utilizes them. So it's not directly affecting the receptors the way that THC would. But how does it actually work in the body? I'm talking about receptors, and that's all fine and dandy, but what physiological effect does this have? Well, here's the interesting thing. Even though you have a natural utilization of these endocannabinoids, it doesn't necessarily mean that the endocannabinoids are the end-all be-all. You see, it's the byproduct of this. It's the utilization and the activation of vanilloid receptors, of adenosine receptors, and serotonin receptors that ultimately give us the sensation and the end result that we are seeking when we look at a CBD oil. Okay, so the vanilloid receptors end up working with body temperature. They end up working with helping you regulate that system within the body, also helping you regulate inflammation through different ways. If we have a higher core body temperature, it's going to affect our inflammation. If we have a lower core body temperature, it's going to affect our inflammatory levels within the body. So these vanilloid receptors play a key role, and they are directly correlated with the endocannabinoid receptors. But here's the really interesting one, adenosine. How many of you have ever had a cup of coffee? Or how many of you have ever had caffeine at some point in your life? Chances are you have. So you know that excited, excitatory feeling that you get. Well, what happens with adenosine is you end up blocking adenosine with caffeine. Caffeine blocks the adenosine receptor, which therefore means that you get more excited because adenosine would normally make you relaxed. So if you have a lot of adenosine in the body, you're relaxed, you might even be sleepy. But caffeine blocks that receptor, which therefore makes you more energized. Well, CBD affects the adenosine receptor by increasing the activity of it. So you might be wondering, well, does that mean it's going to do the opposite of caffeine? Well, kind of. It's going to do the opposite of the bad effect of caffeine in some ways. You see, when we actually have caffeine, we are basically blocking that adenosine receptor and therefore triggering a secondary response. We're triggering a secondary response of excitatory catecholamines. What that means is adrenaline, noradrenaline, epinephrine, all of the catecholamines that cause